Ok, adesso vi posso presentare Ulf Richter, alcuni di voi forse lo conoscono già, era qui già un'altra volta che ci ha spiegato il discorso dell'upgrading, biometano. Noi come azienda, devo dire, non ci siamo sposati adesso con nessuna tecnologia, che abbiamo messo lì le membrane nostre, è stato più un incidente che un piano, perché la ditta con cui lavoravamo non esisteva più e così abbiamo preso noi in mano la ditta e l'abbiamo fatto noi, ma non era questo il nostro concetto. Il nostro concetto è più di parlare di pre-trattamento biomassa, post-trattamento digestato. Queste cose là li lasciamo molto volentieri a altre ditte che sanno più di noi di queste cose, però siamo dentro anche noi e dobbiamo capirlo. Per quello che vi voglio presentare Ulf. Lui una volta lavorava per una ditta svedese che conoscete forse, adesso si è messo in proprio e lui ci spiega un po' diciamo le difficoltà, vantaggi degli upgrading in Europa, perché comunque dentro già da tanti anni è tutto in inglese purtroppo, però penso che parli slowly, you have to speak slowly so that we can understand you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon. I must apologize before that I need to speak English. I'm not able to speak Italian, and I look from time to time to my papers. I think you will see it in Italian, or? That's all in English. Okay. I thought it was translated. The biogas plant, most of you know. Gas upgrading, you have heard a lot in literature, through consultants, you have maybe got proposals and you have seen a reference. I want to tell you a little bit more from practical experiences. Looking backwards on 10 years working with biomethane plants, we have learned that expectations and results can vary, must not necessarily be the same, and I will try to explain a little bit why. Richter Ecos, the company I'm presenting, is a little bit a child of this situation. I will only today be able to summarize a little bit some specific topics, and you feel free afterwards to ask. I will present the company shortly, the complexity of gas upgrading projects, give some hints. I will summarize the upgrading technologies, a little bit you have seen already before. And I will mainly talk about practical experiences and give some conclusions at the end. The company was founded in 2015. We are a member of the ITEC group. There are basically two shareholders, it's a partner and myself. The group is consisting of about 100 people, and they are focusing on air and gas compression systems, on maintenance, service, installations, industrial service in the power industry, chemical industry, machine repair, turbines, and energy efficiency projects. And I chose at the end this shareholder as a partner because I saw that is the right combination and know-how to be added to the biogas topics. The company was started because of the needs or of the experience and needs in gas upgrading. I was from 2007 starting in Germany, managing director of a plant supplier, and we started to sell, install and service plants, upgrading plants into the market. Within these 10 years or 7 years, we roughly sold 40 plants from 300 to 2,400 normal cubic meter biomethane, which is still today about 20-25% of all German upgrading plants. To give you an impression, in Germany we have about 8,000 agricultural biogas plants, of what are 180 to 200 are injected into the gas grid. All the other ones are CHP plants. The idea was to offer services for improving the projects in general. So to give at the end trouble solving, service, optimizing, this kind of questions. Yes, we are We get involved in an early stage of the project when it comes to consulting, what technology, what supplier, some kind of engineering, but we are not an engineering office. And we support projects in the preparation, implementation, and also in the operational part. Here is written technology and supplier independent. That only means we are working with a lot of suppliers, we are working with all technologies, and often, if it's reliable, we have close cooperations with these companies. And as I said, we make use of know-how and resources from the group coming from other industries. Gas upgrading projects are having mainly maize or corn into the biogas plants, which we learned today is not necessarily the right way. In Italy we learn to look more on waste and other substrates, availability and use of these substrates, the raw and product gas quality. So depending on what substrate you use, you will have a different raw gas quality. That is one question, is about methane content, CO2 content, but also other side gases, like only nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, which can also be a result of the digestion process before. And you can also have other substances from waste ending up in the raw biogas. And you have different requirements concerning the product gas quality, whether it's a fuel, whether it's injected into the gas grid, what the regulation is. In Germany we have a regulation, for instance, where we have minimum requirements to the product gas, and then the grid owner is responsible to lift the quality, if needed, to the same quality as in the gas grid. That is, to my understanding, different in Italy a little bit. Use and value or sales of biomethane, is it used again as fuel or is it into the grid? Energy supply and costs, how much do you pay for the electrical power or for the thermal power on the other hand to operate an upgrading process? Can you use your own energy? Do you have to buy energy? Can you sell maybe the heat which you are producing besides the biomethane? And what is the value of this? Operation, optimization, service. Each client is very differently organized. Some have a maintenance department. For some it's quite normal. The other ones do not want to interfere really at all into the operation and service. Project interfaces, value chain. We know projects where clients invest into an upgrading plant. They buy a raw gas and they sell then the biomethane to either a trader or directly to the end user. But that means, what I mean, this value chain and interfaces, if you buy the raw gas, you're also depending on the quality. If you have the raw gas in your hand, you can better influence it. And all this may be different at the stage of project development, implementation, and in the future. So you need to have in mind, as far as possible, that it can change, and any flexibility is welcome to react to that. So what is then, after looking all of that, the right concept, the right technology, what are the right project partner in order to make finally a project successful? I just want to add one thing here, just to give you an example. In Germany, a typical biomethane plant in Germany produces 700 normal cubic meter biomethane per hour. If you take that per 8,500 hours a year, you have a turnover of approximately, and with the German biomethane price, usually it's between 7 and 8 cents per kilowatt hour. At the end you have a turnover of 5 million euro. If you want to operate that for 20 years, it means 100 million euro. So at the end, it is minor decision making, or it should be, in our opinion, whether the plant costs 100,000 euro more or less in the beginning, in the investment cost, in the capex, and also in the service costs. The reality sometimes is much more important how to operate it, how you are supported from your project partners, etc. So don't follow just the price on paper. What you see here is a water scrubber. It is only an example, it could be any picture, but what I saw more interesting on this picture is you have sunny periods and you have very cloudy periods. And that is a little bit like you also have in the project. You need to prepare yourself in all questions to focus on those one and be able to handle the more difficult situations. And they will occur, but you can minimize, I think, the risk that it happens. Now I want to tell something about the upgrading technologies. These are the most common, or more or less all, which are on the market today. You have the pressure swing adsorption, you have the water scrubber, the organic physical scrubber, chemical scrubber, membrane separation, and cryogenic liquefaction plants. Here you only have an example. You have the membrane plant with the before mentioned Evonik membranes, the separate green, and here you have a water scrubber from Malmberg in Sweden. That list is a little bit, 2011 we started in Germany. We mainly had then the pressure swing adsorption and the water scrubber coming from Sweden. They had a lot of references 10 years before. Soon after, organic scrubber and chemical scrubber came onto the market. A little bit later than the membrane separation, and now lately we have the cryogenic liquefaction projects in Europe. There are some overseas projects also which longer references or which are in operation. Maybe we can add a little bit, the pressure swing adsorption and the membrane separation are dry processes, which is of some relevance for the process. And the water scrubber, as it says, and physical scrubber, chemical scrubber, all have a solvent to clean the gas. Before I'm showing some project details or some figures, I want to say that up front. You will see some project or some plant cases with some figures. It is more for general information for this presentation here. Don't see it as an evaluation, which is good and not good. Each of those technologies has plus and minus. And how important the plus and minus is, you need to see in each individual project. It can be in general, but it can be in one project a plus, in the next one it's minus. Not all technologies are presented by examples. You have heard quite a lot about the membranes before. That is very deep into the market now, more and more projects. And there's a lot of references with positive experiences. There are usually more than one supplier per technology, whether it's a water scrubber, organic scrubber, chemical scrubber, membrane. And the parameters vary between the suppliers. So if you ask for proposals, you will get different parameters. The question is, do you compare apple with pear? Is it, have you given the same basic data? This is the first example. It's an organic physical scrubber supplier. It's a German company, Hase, in the north of Germany. They have up to today about 16 plants in operation. They can reach 99% methane. It's possible. Well, possible means it depends on the raw gas quality. If you, for instance, add oxygen, nitrogen for desulfurization in the biogas plant, it will be very hard or impossible to remove that. So your product gas quality is lower than at the end, but that is of relevance for all processes. Secondly, it is a question what makes sense and where you want to come. As higher as you go in the product, gas quality will cost you more money, more energy, more chemicals, whatever. It depends on the process. The electrical power consumption here in average is below 0.2 kilowatt hours per normal cubic meter. That is seen as an annual average. The scrubber systems are a little bit more dependent on summer winter processes and perhaps the membrane or PSA, because you have to you put in strip air and you have to cool the solvents, so outside temperatures will more affect the power consumption over the year. There will be more fluctuation. The methane loss can be reached around 1% or below, and the solvent lifetime is expected to be 10 to 15 years if you have a certain pre-treatment. Chemical scrubber, amine scrubber, that's from the Swedish supplier, Biogas Solutions. They have about 30 plants in operation, while the big plants, the most are more on the upper range, 2,000-3,000 normal cubic meter. They have a chemical scrubber can reach a higher methane content in the product gas because of the selectivity of of the solvent. They have a low electrical power consumption, mainly for pumping, etc. They have a relatively high heat consumption on a temperature level of about 130 degrees, which can be provided by a CHP or other heat suppliers, but you can if you recover the heat and use it again for your site, you can lower this heat consumption a lot. The methane loss is very low, it's only 0.05 to 0.1%, and that is given higher than 5 years. I don't know what is really expected, but these are the figures as I've gotten it from the suppliers just some days ago. Here you have a pressure swing adsorption, that is from Schmack Carbotech GmbH. They have about 80 plants in operation since 1992. So they had a lot of references in Sweden and then also in Germany. It's a trial process. You have to have adsorbers. You can reach up to 99% methane, depending raw gas quality and how you run the process. Electrical power range is 0.16 to 0.25. Methane loss around 1%. Adsorbers, if nothing destroys this, should be unlimited. If you see all these power consumption figures around 0.2, when we started 2007, it was quite normal for the upgrading process. At that time, they were about 0.3 to 0.4 kilowatt hours per normal cubic meter. So nearly all processes have made a very positive development to optimize pressure level, machinery, etc. Like the PSA, they have a version with a low pressure PSA. So that all helps to decrease the running costs, consumables, and also in question of methane loss. There's a lot of question coming up before or in a project. How predictable is raw gas quality? Do you really know? Especially, I mean, it's quite easy if you only put in corn or maybe chicken manure or something. But if you use certain waste which is not analyzed completely, then you don't know exactly what is in. And then the question is, how can it affect the upgrading technology afterwards? Is the best biomethane quality and lowest methane loss really optimal? I've asked myself the question. We have really like the Formula 1 race in Germany between all competitors. Who has the lowest methane loss? But we forgot a little bit to say what does it mean to the plant stability and also to the power consumption. Because I mean, you can minimize methane loss lower and lower, but that means if you take the washing, the scrubber processes, you need to more recycle internally. That increases the power consumption because you have to compress it again. So there's always a maximum, an optimum, and that is also a little bit dependent where you need to go to. I mean, do you need really 99%? In Germany, often we have 96, 97% sufficient to put into the grid, and still I can see that the clients are running at 99%. Not really calculating how much it costs them more, this 1% methane. Yes, they put in more energy, but what is really the margin on this energy at the end financially? There may be also questions about value of gas quality and pressure above average. If you have minimum requirements, is it worthwhile perhaps to deliver a higher pressure? Is someone, that is a special scenario in Germany, is a grid owner, for instance, paying you for a higher pressure or for a kilowatt, 4% more methane? That can be in question. Interfaces to the biogas plant and the following injection station, the plant will only run optimal if all stages work optimized hand in hand on the interfaces. Or if you compare proposals, are the investment and the operation costs really comparable? Do they have the same basis? Are there exclusions in it? Or how will it be in reality at the end? And again, I mentioned that before, that is when you take a decision, but that may change in the future. Keep that in mind. Calculated, then you will be very happy. Or something goes wrong in the project, in the operation, and then you have maybe headaches. That can be, the question is how big that is and what you can do against it. Either you have bought or built a plant which not fits the real situation, you find out that in operation that something was missed, then you have to live with it and, if possible, change it. Projects are left open that we have also seen in practice. Projects go into operation and lack of performance. And what we also see, projects may need more attention. In the beginning, when we started 10 years ago, we thought, or we learned, half an hour per day for the upgrading plant should be sufficient. Then we learned all the childhood problems. That means more or less one person from the operator could work all day on the plant. Now the childhood problems are more or less solved for the most technologies, but we see there is more time needed to optimize the plant continuously. Expected, unexpected experiences, just one example here in this case, there's probably many more. If you see the membrane or the adsorbance process or the scrubbers with a specific chemical solvent or organic solvent, they request, for instance, a better pre-treatment in order to protect the key of the process, the membrane or the solvent. If you have take a water scrubber which is more robust, more simple, which has water, which you can easily exchange, that is less dependent as a process from the pre-treatment, from the conditioning, as you see for the membrane side in UK, for instance, with the activated carbon. But you may still have a reason, what we have learned recently is, or in last years, that it makes sense to do it, because you put in a lot of water and other components into the gas upgrading process. Even if you have a clean product gas, you may have run into problems in the upgrading. Whether it is life cycle time of compressors, blowers, whether it is sulfur in the plant, the water consumption, or you have a problem with biological process, or at the end in the off-gas treatment. So each of those have their special needs. In general, the efforts to operate the gas upgrading is often underestimated. The demanding environment. Upgrading plants are more complex than a CHP unit. It's a process, and the process is very dependent on the conditions, and it has to be followed all the time. So they're a bit more complex. They're in an environment where the operator focuses on agricultural tasks, and the plant should work on alone, and the supplier is sitting often far away. So you need to find a solution how to make sure by yourself, with partners, with the plant suppliers, with their service or a service company perhaps like us, to follow up the plants. Very seldom is redundant installed in the plants because of the costs. So the costs are minimized, but it means if one unit stops, you need to flare the gas, because very seldom you have a gas coupler. Here you can see an example for a real German plant. Typical, it's 4,000 normal cubic meter of raw gas. And what I did is, this graph shows the potential savings over 1 year or 15 years. So this example is, you have a plant with 1,000 normal cubic meter raw gas, 50% methane, electrical power consumption of 0.22. Raw gas, power costs 16 cents per kilowatt hour, some are also cheaper costs, but here I took 16 cents, 1.5% methane loss. So even if you have seen 1%, with some processes, in practice we often see much higher methane losses, which is not in general negative, because the process can't do, it's just the way it's operated. You have 8,500 operational hours, and I assume 5% cost for service and renewance. The biomethane value is 7.5 cents kilowatt hours. Typical German conditions. What I assumed is, if we can reduce 10% electrical power, 0.5% methane loss, 1% better availability, and 10% reduced service and maintenance costs or renewance costs, then you end up with approximately nearly 100,000 euro per year, and over 15 years that's 1.5 million euro. And looking on practical experiences, this is rather conservative. So we have clients which are very close to the optimum, but we have clients which are far away. They believe they run at 1% methane loss, but in reality they run at 3, 4, 5%. So only that one means, in this scenario, 200,000 euro loss per year and more substrate. Conclusions. There's a lot of well-known technology and suppliers, and they're very strong, but the project will not be an automatic success, and especially not because of funding or subvention. What I want to say here is, you can have even a very high subvention. It is not a must that this is enough at the end to earn money with the project if you don't do it correct. It's easier if you have a high subvention, but still, there's a risk. The project assumption or the assumption in the project state are not necessarily the same as seen in operation. So you need to have flexibility in the plans, in the technology to react to different scenarios, whether it's capacity or quality requirements. You should choose strong, experienced, reliable and flexible partners through all stages, which are also willing and able with you to solve problems, because everybody who works with biogas knows there's also always something new and special, and you need to react to that. Our service I've explained, I will not repeat all that. We are offering solutions from the first idea, what kind of technology, what partners. We feel ourselves as interface between investors and suppliers, or as corporations, we focus on optimization and service, and we try to return experience from a lot of projects we are supporting in service to return that experience into new projects. Thank you very much for your attention. In case of there's any question, even if needed, we will try to answer in time with partners. And there's certainly a reason why BDS invited us, and I thought it's a good idea to present that. I think we have a common understanding how complex these projects are and what is needed to make it successful, and that's why we have a continuous communication and exchange experiences and ideas. Thank you very much.